You're listening to the Small and Supercharged podcast with Ria Freeman, episode 240. Hello and welcome to this episode of the Small and Supercharged podcast. It is a solo with me and it's all about public speaking. Do not turn off. Do not turn off. I am here to talk to you about public speaking, but not about me, although, like, spoiler alert, we're probably going to talk about my experiences a little bit because I'm using them to teach and share. But we're going to be talking about the benefits that public speaking can bring for you. Now, there are lots and lots of different ways that you can promote yourself and you can promote your business and you can promote what makes you tick and what excites you and everything else as well. Of course, you can do this on social media. You can do this through PR, through marketing, through paid for, through organic channels. There's loads you can do. There's actually a book about this, I think, Small and Supercharged. Ways to small steps to supercharge your brand on a budget, available at Amazon and all good bookshops. That's my book. It's a plug. It's a shameless plug, but that talks about loads of different ways that you can promote yourself for free. And one of the areas that I discuss in the book, and one area that I do regularly, is public speaking. Now, before you lose your mind at me and you turn off, don't do it. Don't do it. Because public speaking has got huge value. And it's something, this is a story, if you know me, you will have heard this one before, but we're going to go there because it is important. I do a lot of public speaking now. Last week, when you listen to this, it'll be last week, I spoke at the Digital Women Conference, which was a fab event up at Birmingham Millennium Point in the old IMAX Theatre. So as I trotted onto stage, there was quite literally a 6-foot picture. No, the picture was more than 6 foot. My actual face was 6 foot, if not over 6 foot, looking at the audience, which was quite a moment because if you've ever been to that theatre, well, they used to be at the cinema, the flipping screen is massive. And as someone who doesn't particularly like seeing pictures of themselves, it was quite a big impression there. So I'm talking about this from a position of knowledge and of a journey, because I didn't enjoy public speaking for a very long time, to the point that I actively avoided it. I would just not put myself forward for anything that would mean I would have to speak in front of people. Now, I think the main reason was because years and years ago, I was involved in a brand launch. It actually went really well. Nothing bad happened. But I remember just feeling absolutely crippled with nerves the whole time and just thinking, this is awful. I never want to do that again. It was awful. The launch was brilliant. No one else would have known this, but how I felt was horrible. And I just thought, absolutely not. I don't want to do this. And even before then, and this might resonate with some of you, at school, did you ever have to stand up and read? Or, read out loud? I don't know what quite happened, but whenever I would read out loud, the words would just jumble and I would get the wrong word, I would say the wrong thing. I didn't enjoy it at all. I mean, I did it. It didn't particularly bother me, but I didn't enjoy it. But I think it was really the more kind of professional experience. It just made me think, absolutely not. This is not for me. And from that point, I thought, right, screw public speaking. This isn't the one. Then I got some opportunities that came my way, and it was just that there were nice opportunities, but that kind of inner voice didn't think that. I'll say we, because if you haven't read the book The Chimp Paradox, it's brilliant. It's by Professor Stephen Peters, and he's awesome. He's absolutely awesome, and he explains kind of how the brain works with this chimp. So if you ever hear me say we on anything, it's me and the chimp. The chimp is the one that kind of is much more reactive and passionate and emotional. But anyway, Chimp and I, we decided we didn't want to do public speaking. And that was that. But these opportunities kept coming up, and they were nice opportunities. They weren't on paper at all terrifying. Going to speak in front of a group of people shouldn't be scary. But, I would either say no, or if I did it, it would just be awful. I would hate every minute of it. But generally, I just didn't do anything. I just didn't do them. And then I just got really bored of my own rubbish. Applied to give a TEDx talk. I was just wondering actually what year that was. I will currently find out. Right, so in 2018, crikey, how long ago was that? 5 years ago. Wow. 5 years ago, I gave my first TEDx talk. I applied for it. I didn't expect to get it. I just thought, right, what's the first thing we can do to fix this? I know, TEDx talk, which is not the normal course that people take. You don't normally go from nothing to a TEDx talk. But, I went for it probably before the chimp had woken up, because he would have thought it was a really bad idea. But we did it. And I did talk about supporting rural communities with social media, which is obviously something I was really passionate about. So whilst it was not in my comfort zone to be standing on the stage, it definitely was what I was talking about, those areas. Anyway, it was fine. I mean, it was terrifying, and I did think I was going to vomit on the run up to it. Didn't help that it rained when I was getting out the car, and my hair just went boop, and it was just ugh. But I did it, and it was fine. And I was sort of waiting to go on, and actually my husband credits him with this, but I think it was me anyway. And as I was kind of getting more and more and more nervous, I just thought, well, what's the worst thing that could happen? And I went through every horrific scenario in my head. And I then realised that whilst it would be embarrassing, and it would be, nothing really beyond embarrassment was going to happen. And all of a sudden that sort of put everything into perspective, because I thought, well, what have I got to lose? Nothing that matters. I mean, my ego and a bit of, self-respect, but that's life, isn't it? I mean, crikey, I'm more likely to trip over my own feet somewhere and get a hit of it that way. So I did it, and it was fine. It wasn't the best talk I've ever given. It was definitely the first on that scale, so it's not going to be your best. And we've said that a lot on the podcast. It's never your, when you first attempt something, it's not your best shot, because you need to try it. You need to look at what you can improve. You need to improve. I did give it some thought. And I thought, oh, that was good, but clearly a fluke. So I applied for another one. And I got that too. And I gave that talk. And that talk was better. I wasn't as nervous at all. I managed to disconnect my microphone as I was about to go on the stage. It was, if I remember rightly, it was one that goes around your ear. And I itched my ear or itched my hair or something and just ripped it straight off. And I'm like, oh no. But they were absolutely lovely. Came and fixed it. It was quite funny. Fine. No, nothing bad happened. So I did those two. I can't remember the next one I did after those two. But, I mean, over the last 5 years, I have guest lectured at, in person at 4 universities. And universities, I think, are quite a hard group to speak to. I think students are awesome, but they challenge you and it's brilliant. Like, they ask questions, they make you think. It can be a tough crowd, but really good. And the fact that I'm not fazed by it. Quite opposite. I quite enjoy it. I'd like to know what's coming. I'd like to not know what's coming. Sorry, I look forward to it. I've spoken at the Festival of Female Entrepreneurs. I spoke at Theo Paphitis' Small Business Sunday event in February. I've spoken at Beta International, Horse of the Year show. I'm speaking at the Beta conference this Thursday. So if you're listening to this on Wednesday, I'm actually possibly, if you're listening to this in the afternoon, I'll be heading up to the East Midlands for that conference. I love a good conference. I've spoken at Startup 2023, which was a big event in London, and obviously Digital Women, and loads more. That's just the kind of things that are popping into my head as I'm speaking to you. So, National Equine Show, National Equine Forum. See, lots of things. Gosh, a few weeks ago I managed to do, 5 speaking events in 6 days? Anyway, let's move on. But I enjoy it. It's fun. Now to the point that before I used to get, that first talk, I remember feeling physically sick, like I was going to vomit on the stage, which would have been a bit gutting, to be perfectly honest. But now I don't feel any of that at all. I usually feel quite excited. When I was speaking at Startup 2023, I was quite anxious. Not anxious in a horrible way at all, but it was kind of that excited anxious because it was a big event. It was at King's College in London, which is just a beast of a place. And there was, I don't know, I want to say 8 different sort of lecture theatre set up, and had the kind of, oh God, what if no one comes? Oh God, what if everyone comes? What if someone comes? It's quite stressful. But it was brilliant. And even though one of the slides had a bit of a meltdown, it was still really, really good. So, I feel like the more you do with it, as with anything, I'd like to think I'm improving as I go, but my nerves and anxiety definitely are. So the more you do it, the better you will get. Trust me on this. I have been there. I have lived it. I continue to live it. So if you were listening to start and you thought, absolutely not, I don't think many people walk on the stage the first time, look at the audience and think, woohoo, I've got this. I think most people think, Jesus, what did I do? And the buzz you get afterwards is awesome. But it's more than that. It's much more than the buzz. There can be huge things to gain from public speaking. Now, depending on who you speak in front of, there's obviously the opportunity to increase your exposure, potentially to a new audience, but definitely to the audience that's sat there. Many of these events nowadays are also live streamed or have recording options, which means that they can do more than that as well. Just thinking out loud, I know the Digital Women event was, but you can reach more and more people. Now, this can translate directly into work. I've had people approach me from talks I've given and reach out about different things. But it can also just help to increase your credibility, increase your authority on your subject, and that can lead to other opportunities such as contributing towards articles, speaking at other events as well, or working with people, of course. But there's lots of different benefits that speaking in public can have. And I think sometimes we overlook a few of them because some of them are not immediate. Now, we know that it takes a number of touch points for people to build trust in you, build faith in you. And public speaking can be a really good one because it's not edited. It is what it is. We blame social media for having this filter and showing people in the light that they want to be shown in. With public speaking, it's more difficult. I personally love Q&A sections. If you ever do any events where you have a Q&A at the end, that to me is the absolute gold. I love a Q&A. I love answering questions because it makes me work hard. It makes my brain think. But I think it's really interesting to see how people speaking deal with Q&As. I think that's a real kind of acid test. But you get to see them authentically as them, because especially with Q&As that aren't pre-prepared, they have no idea what's coming, and how they deal with that is really interesting. But it does allow people to get close to them, and often you get the opportunity to meet people afterwards as well. But the increase in exposure, the increase in reach, the improvement in authority and credibility, because you have been selected to speak there because you are good at what you do. You can't just go to an event and then throw yourself at the stage and get a speaking slot. Sadly. Well, not sadly, it'd be terrifying if you're on the stage and people started doing that. But, you are selected. With every event I've ever spoken at, I either get approached or I have to go through, you apply and you go through selection criteria. Some you get, some you don't. But you're there for a reason. That person who has put you on that stage believes you know your stuff. So you need to kind of take that on board to give you, a little bit of an increase in your confidence about it. But also it gives the people that are listening to you that confidence that you really do know your stuff. And this can help your business in lots and lots of different ways. People have an as seen in area on their website. People can show sometimes the videos of what's happened. If you've got good friends who will kindly record things for you, that can be really useful for social media. It can do an awful lot to help you really assert your authority on a situation as well. Now, you might be thinking, that's all lovely, but how on earth do I do it? And there are lots of different ways. If initially you're thinking the thought of standing on a stage and talking is absolutely terrifying, you don't have to start there. And equally, even if you're really up for it, it's useful to have additional things where people can listen to you, can see how you operate, can listen to the way you speak. That can be really useful if you are pitching yourself up to somewhere. So podcasts are a great way to start, obviously. I'm a big podcast fan. But if you are looking to get more speaking under your belt, podcasts are a really great way to do it because it does just feel like you're chatting to a friend. I've had people on the podcast who are absolutely really, really nervous. And after a few minutes, they start to relax and get into it. And it's just a chat, which is what public speaking is. It's just speaking to a group of people. Now, we're overanalyzing it, but it's just speaking to a group of people. So a podcast is a great way to do that. And because it can be edited as well, that can help. Doing things like pre-recorded videos can also be really useful if you're just trying to get more confidence with speaking to people, because you can edit that so you can just start to get the hang of it and kind of get more of a feel for it. Now, the next thing up I'd say is probably things like lives. So going on a live with somebody, obviously that's not edited, that is in real time. You get to respond to people, you get to respond to the situation. You can't see the people, but you can see the numbers. So that can be good, because it does scare you a little bit if you are feeling a bit nervous about the numbers. But if you're with somebody, it sort of halves the stress, I think. If you're on your own, that's fine too, because you are perfectly in control of the situation. You can stop it whenever you want. You can do whatever you fancy. But it's good because it's of the moment. You're showing up as you are authentically. It's fast paced. It's fun, and well, I enjoy it. But it is a really good way to help build that confidence just a bit more in a slightly different way. Webinars, well, probably going live on your own is the next level up to that. Things like webinars, lots of different organisations offer webinars. I do quite a few with Small Business Britain, who are a fab bunch. Do go and check them out. And Enterprise Nation are brilliant too. I do a lot of webinars with them. They've got lots of online trainings available through webinars too. So they're really useful and can really help you to, again, increase what you do, but show that knowledge, show your expertise, and help you to give confidence in your own ability as well as speaking. And then we've got the actual in-person events. Now, during COVID, obviously everything went online. So I think there's been a real rise in webinars. So it's easier, I think, to land a good webinar. But events are really starting to come back. Conferences are really starting to come back. I've been speaking at a lot of in-person events over the last few weeks, months, since Christmas, let's say. And it's a whole different vibe. It's much more fun. It gets your blood pumping a bit more because there's real live people there. You're not in the comfort of your own home on your webinar. You are stood in front of people. You need to brush your hair and all of those things. But there are opportunities. So I think what I would do is think about what you want to talk about, and then think about those events that could have an opportunity for that. They can be in the industry, they can be out of the industry, they can be small local meetups, they can be at networking groups and events. You don't have to go from zero to huge. It could be a TEDx talk. There's loads of opportunities if you put the time in to look. And even if you just start by going to a small networking group, or just look at those little local events you get involved in, that can be a really good way to get a step up on the ladder, because you need to start gaining that experience to get better and better. So when you pitch yourself for bigger and bigger events, ideally you've got maybe a video of you in action, but you have got that evidence that actually I spoke at this event. Maybe you've got a testimonial from the person that organised it. Awesome. There's lots of things you can do like that just to help build that presence a bit more. But do embrace it. It's a brilliant, brilliant opportunity. Some events you speak at for nothing, for free. Others you get paid for, which is lovely. They all challenge you in different ways. But I would absolutely recommend it however you do it, whether you start at podcasts and ramp up to, events, conferences, bigger events, which is awesome. Do it. It's honestly so valuable and so useful for you as a brand, a business, and for your self-confidence. I absolutely would fully embrace that. It's a good thing to do. I really enjoy it, and I'm cross I didn't do it sooner. I hope that's been useful for you. As I mentioned, there is a book which does have a little bit about public speaking in it, which I have written, called Small and Supercharged. I hope this has been useful. Please do screenshot, share to stories. Let me know, are you a public speaking fan or not? Would you like to do more of it? Or does it scare the living daylights out of you? It's all good. We're all friends here. And I've probably felt every emotion that you are too. Thanks so much for listening, and we'll catch up really, really soon. Take care.